Okay, we'll start the meeting. First order of business is the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, yes, Peter has them. If you would just sign mostly who you are, so we have a record, it would be appreciated. Let's see, we'll start with the, review and approval of the May 20th minutes.
I will move to approve the minutes.
Second, the motion and a second. Any discussion on those?
Just want to say how fast I read it.
Yeah.
It was like record setting that.
That was quite impressive, actually.
Without executive session, we'd be down in 25.
I saw that. No, that was good. So yeah, all those in favor? That's everybody. I'll abstain. I wasn't here. Members reports. We'll start with Lindsay.
Okay.
Well,
See, they fixed the sign for me on River Road, they match now.
Took an engineer to do it, but it's done.
Perfect. Other than that, nothing.
Jackie? Yep.
Oh, Karen looks good over there on the river road too, so that's nice. They're starting in town here shortly, I think. Hopefully, yeah, right. It'll be a mess for a while, but it'd be nice
Did
to
they
get
complete
it
the
done.
river road today? Did anyone?
One side, I think.
One side, Oh, I did want to bring up something. I saw on a run the other day that there was the high school, like Mary Chase was bringing some of the high school students over to the cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah, I didn't see that.
That was just great to see people want over there in it. I'm guessing they're doing something like they're cataloging or something like that. They're working with our cemetery committee with that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It's how they paved up to that too. It'd been awesome if they kept going because it makes it real nice when you're not going in the soft, like slushy stuff, but I don't think we're gonna get one of a shoulder to.
Yeah. Okay, nothing really from me, so we'll dive right into the town manager's report.
Okay, the cemetery stuff we're wrapping up, the kids wrapped up today, I believe. That was initiated by Mary Chase looking to get these kids involved in town somehow. They're AP kids that have concluded their AP studies and then had spare time for coursework. So there were 10 students, I believe, that came down from the high school. And what they've been doing is taking pictures of stones and providing data entries for any information that's available at that gravesite, whether it's an inscription or something next to it. That will then be integrated into the software that we purchased into for mapping. So because the maps aren't ready, they're collecting that data, so it's a lot easier than to input in. So that's what they've been doing. And Kathy Hopkins and Becky Ketchum have been there. For, I think.
Yeah, they're both there when I read about it,
Time,
yeah.
every day that they're there.
Yeah.
And there were 2 classes that came down and did
Yeah.
that. So the school did incur the cost of transportation and whatnot. So it's a great project and we'll have more about it in the next newsletter, which will be in July. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of a wrap on that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The road work top, Bigelow Hill Road, that work began yesterday with ditching and whatnot. Met with the contractor on site. There were some adjustments to the engineered plans that in some cases were over engineered and in other cases were under engineered. Needless to say, I wasn't pleased. But we made those adjustments and I met with the engineer this afternoon. And that is moving forward as revised. They, we'll talk about it a little bit later in the meeting, but the engineer designed the road for a 20-foot width, which is narrower than what we're used to. And past practice, as long as I've been here, is to build to the 22. So we'll take that up under other business. Hopefully, if they can move ahead, their very aggressive timeline is to have that project wrapped up by the 4th of July. Very likely it will extend 1 to 2 weeks beyond that. The other component there is thank you to the town of Skowhegan. I believe in their new budget cycle will have funds to do the last 400 feet of Bigelow Hill Road. So that from our whole length linear will be paved right up to the connector with them. So it's a pretty rough section there. So it'll be an overlay and they'll benefit from economies of scale under our contract. So road commission was very cooperative there. Main Street sidewalk pedestrian project, so that's our portion, it's the second portion of the road project on Route 2. We have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow, so we haven't seen a ton of work around town. Rangers contractor on that project. They've been to town to meet with me twice, they've been up to Public Works to discuss laydown opportunities, what they're trying to do, we're giving it to them for free. And it's justified in that we do not want any added congestion downtown, whether it's equipment or materials. We don't want it, so I'm offering a space of Public Works, and Public Works is able to accommodate, and that's why that's happening the way that it is. And we're also encouraging them to sign the alternate route to push traffic down Mechanic and Perkins Street to get back onto Route 2 to alleviate anything that would cause unnecessary congestion and negative impact to businesses. York's market owner was in the other day expressing concerns about that, and I told her that we're all on the same page with that. And going to remain mindful of it, and I was fairly strong in terms of communicating our concern about impact to downtown businesses with the contractors agent. So there is that. Also, real quick back on Big Little Hill. Folks go to businesses that are up there when they're doing construction. I would strongly encourage you to take the extra 45 seconds, 60 seconds to zip up 139 a little bit and then come back in from the other direction. It will save everybody money and time down the line by doing that if you're going to the business that's on the far end of our town limits. They will be using, here's your delay, they're gonna be using portable traffic signals. So nobody likes those, they're delayed, they're timed, and so that will be likely to cause added delay, but it's cost savings in the grand scheme of things from flaggers. Airport CIP, that's capital improvement plan, things are relatively status quo there in terms of project priority. But funding is delayed because of cutbacks at FAA or the cost of things going up and the funding at FAA staying relatively stagnant, so that's pushing out some of the bigger projects 3 or 4 years. So now we're talking to the mid-2030s. Also had a meeting last week with DOT and their consultant on pavement condition inventory, PCI. It is very similar to what we have invested in on our town roads, except they do it on straight, flat runways, so it seems a little excessive. But state government thinks it is prudent to put money there.
Do we have to?
It's not at our expense to, it's not a direct expense to taxpayers in Norridgewock. It's state funded.
And then we're gonna have to keep paying for the upgraded software, it's a straight thing, if we can see, look, hey, look, there's no bumps, we're good.
This is the program state of Maine is in.
This is absurd, it's
No.
still our taxpayer, it's just not town taxpayer, it's
Correct.
sweet baby nuggets.
I was careful when I got into that. Thanks. Okay, library building committee met last week, that's remaining relatively unchanged. They have started exploring modular, they've reached out to 3 potential vendors. One of them's non-responsive, one of them said, we're working on it, the other one said, no way. Now they're exploring stick-built options, and so they're taking what we have for plans and going to see if Hammond's will do us a favor in terms of kind of laying it out and getting a price for materials to get a budgetary start on something there, and then they can refine, upsize, downsize, twist, whatever needed there to see if we can get the project off the ground. And once they can get a better idea of the final finances, start looking at funding mechanisms. The assessing agent RFP and reval RFP, that closes tomorrow. We've had an initial flurry of questions about that, but nothing formal. I've received 1 proposal on each from the same contractor. I would hope that we'll receive more tomorrow, but that won't be anything that you'll see here probably for 6 or 8 weeks, just because we'll want to review it. Donna's here on a limited schedule, she needs to be an important part of the tax assessors, we'll want to make a recommendation, and then it will come back here, so. We'll see how that plays out. The CD, that's the largest CD that we have at Maine Highlands Federal Credit Union, up in Canaan, that's maturing later this month. Initial indication is rates are gonna be pretty competitive if we take a full month with them. But I will iron that out, we should have that before the end of the month. Amy secured a safety grant at MMA for high visibility lights. The fire department was the primary requester on that. It's a pretty straightforward grant application, but it fully funded 18 lights for fire department, 5 for public works, and 1 over to the sewer plant with the universal attachment. So that when people are out in low visibility situations, you can see them from up to a mile away. And so that is pretty good. We'll start to see those out where appropriate. Interim report for SHAPE, that is our workplace health program. That required us to establish 2 goals. One is all employee safety education, which we've been working on, needs to get a little bit better instruction. And then the training up of full-time fire employees to serve as our leads for safety training, something we've talked about, something that I've kind of tapped. something that hasn't come to fruition. And I've kind of self-imposed as of yesterday afternoon, an October deadline for that. And so I'm hopeful that with the time that we've had and the time that we will have, that, that will take place. A lot of it's just connected dots. Tomorrow is your last day to vote absentee or request a ballot. We will be voting next Tuesday at the school, 8 to 8. This office will be closed in order to staff that election. The third graders will be here next week. It's gonna be kind of broken up, but they'll also visit the fire station. In Historical Society, the Memorial Day event went well despite the weather. Obviously, that did depress turnout, and I would imagine that you'll see that event take place again next year. Your CMP Community Connection event, that we're hosting here on June 23rd is still on track. And then you've got your regular slate of meetings. You will not have a planning board meeting in June, a lack of business there. The one that we did see, just to give everybody an update, is the gun range and retail gun shop. That is what we thought was gonna come through for the planning board. Staff reviewed the application, it was incomplete. We sent that back to the applicant for revision. Applicant has necessarily declined to submit that. The applicant has now pivoted with the same exact plan for a structure, saying that it is going to be a residential personal garage. We consulted with MMA Legal and they said issue and monitor. So kind of unfortunate steps to circumvent local regulation. We don't have much in the way of regulation around here. So anyway, that's where that stands. And so at this point in time, there is not an application anymore for a gun range on this county.
Okay, thank you so much. Number 6 here, discussion action on June 3rd, general warrant number 11.
I have a motion to approve general warrant number 11 in the amount of $38,736.48.
Second, any discussion?
Is the Cal Ripken, the 1,600, is that like all of the paying or is it something like a portion of it?
That's everything that we pay to Scouting and Cal Ripken, and then that will be offset slightly by, I think, say $600 or so from revenues that we receive from Mercer Smithfield for their kids.
Okay, and then what about the Wicked Outfitters?
That is uniform expense for the fire department.
Okay,
That was the almost 8,000 to the Sportsman Association.
That snowmobile grants that we've held back,
Got it.
we got it in 2 separate parts. We had issues with the first,
That's the issue of it.
and so it's 2 separate reimbursements that will be cutting back. Town is made whole, plus administrative.
Which is good, because they're broke. No, that's the Millville Club. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everyone. Public comment. See some new faces out there. Are we here for public comment, or anybody out there have something for public comment? Oh,
that's crazy.
please, go ahead. Just state your name. I know you, but please, say who you
My
are.
name is John Keister, and I'm here to apologize to the town manager and to his staff inside the reception room today. I come in here to do something today. I obviously, what I was trying to obtain wasn't able to be done on the social level. And therefore I misspoke, and I'm hoping that I can convey to you and to the people involved that it was uncalled for, and I apologize for being that way.
Appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Yeah, takes a lot, so thank you. Anything else for public comment here? All right, with that it, we'll move forward. All right, number 8 here, discussion action on employee surveillance disposal.
This is something that's precipitated by new legislation. It will take effect in July. But this is a meeting I could fit it in, and what we have to disclose are certain things under statute. And one of them is audio, video recording, access to technology. It really focuses on employer restrictions on employee-owned equipment and vehicles. But there are things in the statute that we want to err on the side of caution. In terms of video surveillance, so most of our properties and buildings are under surveillance, and so what this says to employees is that we do survey you, with technology, we do not collect audio. And then the other disclosure that we need to make, because we do allow remote access to our devices, is from our IT contractor to say, this is how we access your device. This is what your screen will look like, and this is the technology that we use. And then it also shows that, it should say that everything's tracked and it's in a you cannot modify the record log of remote access. So if there are suspicions that somebody's accessed your computer while you were not at the station or while you were at the station, we're able to call that up and then could arguably seen as unfair surveillance. So state statute requires it. There was a slight update from the draft that I sent last Friday because our contractor changed their vendor for software support. But that is the only change there. My recommendation would be to approve this and authorize their issues to staff.
So moved.
Motion, second, any discussion on that? You got something, Chucky?
No.
Okay.
Second.
Right up, with nothing else, all those in favor, and that's everybody. Number 9 here, discussion action on biannual election, clerk appointments.
This is a formality that I missed earlier in the year where you folks get to approve the list of the initial list, base list of ballot clerks that we pull from for elections. So this is updated and realigns staff as well as anybody's party affiliation over the last 2 years. And this appointment was good for 2 years. So the appropriate one would be to approve and sign the confirmation of the appointments of election clerks for the period stated.
So,
Motion and a second, any discussion on that? Running a little low on the green department here, but other than that, all those in favor, that is everybody. Number 10 here, discussion action on medical marijuana caregivers regulations.
Okay, so I received a number of, I'll say complaints, yet concerns from the public about marijuana regulations in the town of Norridgewock. I will now couple that with the fact that in the number of medical caregiver registrations that have been put to the Office of Cannabis Policy, OCP, which is at the state level. And so I spoke with Matt about it, and what we thought was the most prudent step was to bring it to the board for consideration, or discussion rather, as to what your thoughts and feelings are on it, and whether or not you want to propose regulation. We've proposed regulation of marijuana before. It was accepted. The structure of cannabis policies changed at the state level. So medical is relatively unregulated at the state level. Recreation adult use is very regulated at the state level, and it requires that the town say yes to allow it in. So you remember a couple of years ago, there was a petition that went around, we ended up warranting articles that went to a vote to allow this and this component of recreational adult use marijuana. Those failed by a pretty near 2-to-1 margin among the voters. This is medical. But what we're seeing is the influx where we used to have 3 or 4 facilities. We're now close to 20. And I have
Wait a minute, so I just want to make sure I understand. So we have 20 that are now operating inside the town, right?
So there are 20 caregivers. So
Okay.
there's 9 caregivers in one facility.
Okay.
There's only one retail medical facility, that's Norridgewock Springs. That was before 2018 changes in statute. So what you have now are folks that can grow medical, that we don't allow retail medical. But now they're wholesaling. And what we're seeing are, they want potential caregivers are looking for tracts of land or large buildings to convert and convert into medical marijuana grow facilities and then sell wholesale.
Well, you can't outright say so.
Right, so you can't say no to medical, it just doesn't work. You say no to medical retail, but the wholesale, the cultivation, you can't regulate. So, I reached out to the Municipal Association Legal, Office of Cannabis Policy. And then pulled the info back from MMA. And then with all of that, I then looked at other sample ordinances to regulate medical marijuana in communities. I think I had 4 ordinances, and then I pulled from all of those to draft this, and then I added some more to it. It's a lot to bite off in one second. I'm not sure if you had a chance to get to it since I sent it. But I think step 1 is to gauge, maybe not even your personal position, but whether or not it's something that you think is appropriate to send to voters. And then maybe get a bellwether of your personal position as to whether, is it appropriate to send it to voters, and does this board support sending it to the voters? Question 1, question 2, and then if you did read it thoroughly, want to discuss components of the draft and discussion. If it is something that you want to consider, I think time is of the essence, but I don't think doing an ordinance, it's something that gets right. It very likely would be tagged onto a November ballot if you decided to move forward with this or any other question that you want to put before voters before March.
I know based on just the vacant houses next to me now, we've had cultivation growing, whether it's medical, whatever it is. There's issues now with empty buildings, you can't do anything with, like. I don't know that this is the type of businesses that we wanna bring in. I mean, I know that there's rules surrounding the type of equipment that has to be there to ensure there isn't a smell, but like you drive through towns that have a lot of these places and you smell it. I do not wanna drive in a town that all I smell is weed when I come through, because I feel like that sets the tone for a town, and I don't feel like it's a good look. I'm not saying that people can't do what they wanna do, but I say for our town, if we have the ability to stop something like that from happening, I think it's well within our right to do that, to let our townspeople vote on that if they want to, but for me personally, I'll do everything I can to stand in the way of that, because I don't want commercial property, land being used for that, because it never seems to go well. You're gonna put abandoned crappy buildings, you're gonna put smelly situations, and it's not.
Well, it's regulation, as nice as it would be, you're not able to say no, and you're not able to
we
block.
make it-
All we're able to do is, it's not even making it harder, it's
Yeah.
regulating. So it's making it on the up and up as much as we possibly can. I think if the entire board feels that there's enough interest in, right here, us 5, to pursue this, that you read through this. Mark it up, think if you agree with it, hold some friends or whatever, and then we'll session, something later to go over it in depth. I think we're all kind of on the same page
Yeah, I
with
think
this.
we definitely go forward and
Yeah.
see where it goes.
Yeah.
So give it a read, mark it up, and we'll get something either at our next meeting or the next.
Like with things like junkyards and things like that, we have certain things that we can impose with, screening visibility from roadway and things like that. Is this something where we can impose similar things that we find are prudent to that specific type of business, whether it be something to block any sort of, olfactory offense that you might have from it, or even if it's just blocking like, not having any sort of signage. I know that, I don't want people driving through and see big pot plant leaves anywhere and things like that. Can we make rules regarding that type of stuff? So the aesthetic and the actual smell and impact on visual voice.
The sentiment of your thought is a yes. When you start talking about signing, you get into First Amendment regulations, but the state already regulates, geared towards young children and things like that. No cartoon characters, and very similar to what you see with the tobacco industry. You can do things like odor. Our site plan review will cover a lot of this stuff. But not every, if it's a commercially operated facility, but 547 Waterville Road. Record, 547 Waterville Road was a medical marijuana wholesale and home delivery business. It is now got 9, as of today, 9 registered caregivers who are cultivated. How do we regulate that? So that was pre-existing, it was permitted. It's not gonna go through that permit process again. So with this ordinance in draft form, and I will post the draft to the website.
Yeah.
So we can get public feedback on this. Email me preferably, or send something to the town office. We can talk about initial inspection annual inspection. We can request things like background checks on owners, on managers, you can go as deep as employees, maybe excessive. Interior conditions, things that are fire dependent, things that are generally code dependent. Exterior, concerns, how does the building look, the maintenance of it, you can address things like that. What's their security plan to mitigate noise, their hours of operation, how are they gonna dispose of their waste? There's a lot of stuff in here to consider, and then there's the application. And the application fee that could be associated with it, and it's not a money grab, and there's no mistake about it. But there's a cost, and so it's that cost that then associates with the fee. So, I mean, I think you'd be looking on comps. $1,000, $1,500 on an initial application, you could be looking at 500, 750 on an annual renewal. And then,
When you think about site review and then following up, whether they're going in, we're gonna have to be paying code enforcement, whoever is gonna be enforcing that. There is gonna be, an extended cost for the town that's ongoing to manage any complaints, to go in and check things out. So we are going to have costs, so.
right, so it's not a get rich quick, it's not
Yeah.
intended to drive revenue, it's intended to cover the cost that would be associated with it. And I'll just say, you wanna keep in mind that some of the people that are doing this in your community are residents and taxpayers. Some people employ other people to do this, and then some of it just maybe doesn't seem to pass a straight face test. And I think the level of responsiveness to government officials is low. And there are people that are operating above board, 100% compliant, and that's great, but I think the concerns that you share, that other people share, are what you're trying to regulate, and be mindful of the people that do play by the rules and not be punitive to them.
Well, and people that are local that have a stake in this community, when we have people coming in from other states that don't care whatsoever about how their business and their practices impact the local, community and the environment that people have to live in, why would they care? And we leave abandoned buildings and don't take care of stuff, so I think that there's a lot that we need to make sure that we're, dotting the i's and crossing the t's so that we're not ending up in looking like some other towns around here.
It's fine.
It's well, exactly, I mean, yes.
My,
The soccer
I
building.
ask of the board. Time to look through the draft ordinance, can you take time to look through the draft application in advance of any comments that you have, so I can incorporate them for the next time you talk about it. And if you need more time beyond the 17th, let me know, if you need more time on the 17th, then we look at that. And if July, and then we're really pushing the timeline in terms of getting it on the ballot.
I mean, does everybody think that the next meeting will be good to look at it a bit more in?
Sure. I mean, I don't wanna make extra work for you, but if there's any way that you can kind of give us like the, the cheat sheet of what we're not allowed to do, that might make it easier when I put my notes and be like. Cause I could put 10 things down there, cause you're not allowed to do 9 of those, and
I
that's.
want to have discussion about that, because just as many people that will come to the table and provide feedback that say it needs to be more restrictive. People will come to the table and say it needs to be less restrictive, so I'd rather you tell me you want to say, we don't want the building to be able to be painted green. Because it represents their product, I'd rather we had that discussion and say, well, you can't regulate that, and just
Sure.
say, here's your isolated silo of information.
Okay.
For the public awareness.
But like there's no chance of having a retail application, that even if it's medical, like we already know that, right? Like,
Correct.
okay, so we don't have to worry about this, is just them coming in and just making grow houses, basically, right?
That's correct.
And was this also just of buildings or then growing it outside, like, I can remember, heading out towards like Emden, there was a bunch of fields and they were growing stuff everywhere, is this, that too?
That was.
It's
Yeah,
hens,
that
okay.
was him.
Yeah,
Cause they can't just grow it outside, right? It has to be inside
The
to,
state
no, it's
regulates
just gonna
that.
be
It's
fenced,
gonna
I
be
think they can do outside, it's just gonna be
visible.
fenced.
because
Yeah, it's a
that
state-
becomes an issue, because to have fencing for that, you've gotta have, so, teens and other things can't be getting into it, and then when you do that, I don't want barbed wire or jail fences all around the town.
Most of your medicals
And that's-
indoor.
Yeah,
It's gonna be.
Well, we wanna make sure we're clear about that, cause we don't have to be like, we're a natural farmer, use the sunshine, I mean, great, not.
That's fair. I would look into what the options are for them on the outside.
It's probably not gonna be terribly cost effective for
No,
someone.
I
to get
can't
into business.
But hey, I just wanna make sure we didn't and then all of a sudden we've
I
got
mean, think
field
that-
right up there.
that's pretty good.
They know it's gonna get stolen much easier if it's outside.
Oh, yeah, right, for sure. But
Oh,
I didn't even
people are
think of
doing
that.
that. I mean, like, I don't want like teenagers to be like, oh, look, we got a weed field, let's, there's somebody didn't like. Anything else with that?
Yeah, so look it over, mark it up, let
Okay.
them know.
You don't need any, should not, just,
No, that was it.
Okay.
Everybody's interested, which is good. That makes it easier. Okay, number 11 here, review the online public comment.
Let's see how much.
Does it already start?
Yeah. Someone's gonna be least favorite, it's always me.
Wednesday.
What?
Maybe we'll postpone this right till the dead end of the meeting.
Yeah.
We have no comments on you. No comments on you tonight. I
Wow,
apologize for
you know, they'll all be on the Facebook things, I'll be put out there.
opening that up.
Yeah, I know,
Maybe there's a glitch in the system or something. Actually,
right.
Really random, are we fine continuing this on the agenda?
yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you find something, if something's posted after our meeting, that's relevant enough, bring it up at our next meeting.
Right.
I mean, just because, there's a lot of people review it tomorrow, or, tomorrow evening, whatever your free time is. If there's something relevant that gets put on there, I would like it to come to the entire board. I don't always review this.
Not me, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, I like the option, I like that it's there, I want people to have the opportunity to be heard, whether they choose to engage or not is on them. Yep. So, with that, other business, does the board have anything for other business initially? I do not, but Richard, do you?
I'm looking to add discussion action on cemetery quick claim deeds, please.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second, any discussion on that, seeing none, all those in favor, that's everyone.
This is a motion to sign a quick claim deed releasing the town's interest in lot 256 at Sunset View Cemetery to Kathy Wilson.
So moved.
Motion second, any discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, that's everyone.
Please sign up on the line above your name.
Sure.
It was me last time.
I think I did once too.
The next is a motion to sign a quick claim deed releasing the town's interest in the northern half of lot 274 at Sunset View Cemetery, Tracy Lee Hadden.
So moved.
There's a motion, second, any discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, that is everyone.
Next request would be to add discussion action on Bigelow Hill Road project modification of the agenda, please.
So moved.
A motion and a second, any discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, that's everyone.
This is what you heard about before, why making it.
Yeah, so it's designed to be 20 feet wide, recommended that we move to 22 feet wide, that be standard practice for as long as I've been here. The road is built for that, it will candidly look narrow and silly if we don't. And so the recommendation from the contractor is to expand to 22, recommendation from department staff is to expand to 22. This would result in an increase of $55,000, piggybacked onto the contract for that. Yeah, the motion would be to authorize the appropriation of up to $55,000 from the department reserve for the added width of pavement on Bigelow Hill Road.
So moved.
We have plenty there.
We have plenty of to do it.
Why is that even engineered for 20 feet? And imagine,
We had a meeting with the engineer this afternoon about the issue.
yeah, I mean, you could,
I'm not an engineer, which is why we pay them, and
yeah,
it's something that I didn't catch.
They're always so workable.
And we
So
have
good.
seen.
But is
Problem
this
that
is a,
we've experienced is that every time we get used to a point of contact with an engineering firm, they leave. And then you get used to somebody else, and so the 22-foot pattern expectation was good with the last one, but. That was actually 2 ago now, and so now we've got a new one, and we've got so many people that are involved in the drawing. Candidly, my summary of what we had for a plan on Bigelow Hill Road in terms of engineering plans. I told them today, I felt like you were at extreme disadvantage because you didn't want to send anybody in Google roads or whatever they call that, doesn't drive up that road. And, you know, it's valid concern, and so.
isn't there a standard?
yeah, really, that's what I get, I
Yeah.
guess, driving it.
There's not,
There's
really?
not.
Let me,
No.
Even if they did it completely wrong and it failed, they still wouldn't be responsible for it, because it's an.
Todd, go ahead.
I would request the 22 feet. Getting those trucks off the road without tipping them over is important, so.
I'm actually surprised.
I'll
there's
take
room in there
24/6,
for
but I'd prefer, 22 is good.
absolutely, delivery trucks, anything out there. The next
Our
feet
plow
makes a
trucks.
difference, yeah, plow truck.
Shoulders is off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right,
Drivers ed kids, I don't wanna go off the sides like.
right, right. Yeah,
that. Okay, well, I would entertain a motion.
can
We did,
we,
I already said so on the
Oh, you
55.
did, okay.
Yeah.
can we add that standard into our directive when we have this again, so, yeah,
I mean, it's always subject to change, depends on the road, but we had just assumed, I mean, honestly, it's gonna look. I wish that we could just do the 20 feet, take a picture of it, send it to them, and then actually do the right way.
Yeah.
Because
That's a big difference.
I don't think it would be a really good reference on the design engineer. That it would end up on the feet.
Sorry.
It would be like a reverse mohawk kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, no,
It
you're
would look that silly.
Oh dear.
huge difference.
Just like a path going under.
Right.
I'm picturing it. It's not.
There's a motion second, any further discussion, seeing none, all those in favor? It's everybody? Got anything else in there?
I do not.
Okay, number 13 here, executive session pursuant 1 MRSA 4056C to discuss economic development.
I'll move that we go into an executive session to discuss economic development.
Second, motion is second, any discussion, seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody. Nice to see you folks. Unless you're in it.
Tonight, and so you're.
I mean, 35 minutes. I feel like.